to see what's in the box. Here we go. Sorry for the shaky camera. Poor lighting. Let's get it all out of the box and then we'll go through it. Alright, so this is what you get in the box when they ship it to you. You obviously get these are the tinted plates that will go over the gauges once you get them assembled. You'll peel this white stuff off of here, and this glass is tinted. Trust me, you're going to thank the good Lord above that it is tinted. In fact, I may actually put another layer of tint over the top of these because these get really, really bright at nighttime and you cannot dim them down. So, get that out of the way. Here is all the sensors that you're going to need. You are required to run the adapters that they send with it, and also the sensors here. Let me get this opened. Doing all this with one hand. Here's the adapters that, if you're doing an LS swap, this is what you're going to need to adapt your oil sending unit and the water sensor, the temperature sensor rather, I'm sorry. These are plastic washers and two-sided tape that you are going to use when you're assembling the gauges. This is going to be your oil sending unit that they provide. It is a one-wire oil sending unit. It's got one nut that you unscrew up top here, and you put your little fisheye wire on there, and it runs to your to the gauge for the oil sending unit. It'll have an adapter on this end. Do not use Teflon tape or any kind of paste. This is designed to make full contact with the parts that and the adapters. When you're doing LS swap, ground is your best friend, so no Teflon tape or anything on this. Again, the next thing we have, if you're just if you're not doing LS swap, or if you've used a older transmission that does not have an electric speedo, they provide you with this adapter. Let me get it out of the package here. Well, they've got it sealed up, so give me just a moment to rip it open here with my one hand. Here we go. This is your adapter. This will screw on to the side of like your $700 transmission or whatever. This piece right here it takes place of your speedometer cable. Like I said, you just unscrew your cable and you screw this in. It then turns, or then you have a plug here that plugs up into the end of it. You will then run these three wires up to your gauge cluster here. This basically converts it from being manual to a digital. I will not need this because I'm running a a 4L60E transmission. Set this out of the way. You also have a couple of more adapters here. This one here goes for the water sending unit, or the temperature sending unit here. You can see here they provide you with the adapter, also with the temperature sensor here. It's also a one wire, so basically all you're going to do is, hang on. Okay, so what you're going to do is, again, do not run any Teflon tape on these. This is going to screw inside of here, just like so. Then this will screw inside of, if you're doing an LS, this will go into the passenger side head towards the back. It'll have a block off plug in it. You just remove that and install this. So, also the last but not least in this pouch is all of your instructions. Follow these to a T. You want to make sure everything gets done right. If you do everything that they tell you to do, then you're going to be correct. Use these sensors that they send with you, because their boards are calibrated for these sensors. So again, use these if you want correct readings. This is what mine will end up looking like, but you know, something like that. I have mine are going to be blue. I'll open these bags and I'll show you what this stuff right here looks like. Alright, as you can see, this will be your speedometer and your tach. It's pretty simple setup. Flip it over on the back. This is all your wiring. All your instructions in there will tell you what these wires do. And up here, this one is this will be your oil, your fuel, your temp, your volts. It will be some assembly required. So again, there will be the instructions inside of here. I'm going to get this all put together and then we'll come back. Alright guys, here is the bezel that I'm going to end up using. This is the bezel, taken all apart, as you can tell. The first thing you're going to have to do is you're going to have some tabs that mount some of your stock gauges on here. And you can see I've already got these cut. You have to trim them down. You can flip this sideways and you'll see I've got them trimmed down to where they're level with the bezel. So just get that done. All of my wires are going to run like this. Whenever I set this down in here, this side will set over here, and all of my wires are going to run through the center hole. So let me get that done and then we'll come back. Alright folks. Okay folks, here's what we're doing now. I've got the bezel just sitting inside of here. I don't have the glass on front of it yet, but we're getting to the wiring aspect. What I've done is I've did this before, so here's what we do. We buy these pin connectors. It's 12 pin connector. You can get them on eBay. I take one end and I wire it up to all the wires that are inside of the truck for all the gauges, turn signals, and everything. Then I take this end and I wire it to the bezel. That way, if I ever need to remove this bezel, I don't have to cut wires or none of that. You just unplug it. What we're doing now is I've got all the ground wires for the bezel tied together in one lead, and it comes into one terminal on here. Same thing with all your power wires that goes to power the lights on the gauges. That all goes to one wire, goes to right here. You'll look in your paper and you'll follow your chart as to what color wire does what for your gauges. You'll wire that straight to your truck if you're not using this. But like I say, I'm using a quick connector for the benefit of being able to unplug it without cutting wires. So so far what I've gotten done is I've got the purple wire, that's the dimmer wire. I messed up earlier when I said there was no dimmer wire. It only dims when you turn your headlights on. It'll dim a little bit, but as far as dimming it down when you turn your headlight knob, it will not do that. Gray wires are your left and your right turn signal. It's got it labeled here on the board. You can see right here, it'll tell you left, right, miles per hour, 12 volt. That'll be one of your hot wires that I tied all three together. Then you got your high beam, ground, tack, brake, and dim. Then over here it labels 12 volt, ground, oil, dimmer. Then you got ground, dimmer, fuel, water, 12 volt. So you just run all those wires throughout the back like so, and you just wire it accordingly. So let me finish getting mine wired up and then we'll come back. Alright folks, there you go. As you can see, I'm going to end up getting a new bezel glass for this. But the way this works is you'll put your circuit boards in, you'll put your black bezel on, then you'll take your smoked glass that they send with it, put that on top. Then you'll take the plastic clear and put that on top of there. You've got 4 plastic nylon washers. I don't know if you can see that right there. There's one. You'll put them on all 4 corners, and that's going to be your spacers to compensate for the thickness of this plexiglass, the smoked plexiglass that they send. So now the only thing we got left to do is put it back in the vehicle and plug it back up, because I've already got the other plug all wired up to the wires inside of the truck. So let's get out there and we'll do that, and then we'll come back. Okay folks, for most of you that are just now tuning into my channel, this is what we are installing these gauges in. It's an 84 Chevy C10 pickup. We've done an LS swap on it. So it's my son's truck that I built him. I'm not going to show you how to install your sensors, because that's typical. I mean, but on the LS I will show you this. If you'll see back there, you'll see that part right there above my finger. That is where you're going to put your water temperature sensor. You've got the adapter, and then of course you know your oil sending unit goes in the back. You'll run a wire from both of those, run it up through your firewall, and it'll go to your wire that's showing. I've already got the bezel setting in here. It'll go to your temperature wire and your oil sending unit wire. For the rest of it, it's pretty well straightforward. You'll hook it up to the rest of your wires. If you don't want to run it all the way through your firewall, you can always hook it up to out here, which is what I'm doing. You can hook it up. This is your bulkhead right here. This is going to be all your wires, your fuel, your oil, all of that. That's going to be your. This is where I'm hooking everything up to. That way I don't have to run it through my firewall. So yeah, it's that simple. So let me get the cover back on here and we'll come right back. Alrighty, now we've got the bezel back on. So let's turn this key on and see what she looks like. There you go. As you can see, everything's zeroed out, other than, you know, your temp, oil, you know, volts, fuel. So let's start it up. And you can see the RPMs. She's running about 600 RPM right now, which is kind of normal. It's idled up just a little bit right now. Once it warms up, it'll idle itself back down a little bit. See, turn signals, let's try the left. Left one is blinking. Let's try the right. Right one is blinking. We'll see if it dims when I turn the headlights on. And it did. It looks like it's kind of flickering on camera, but in person, it's really not. Alright, let's see if the high beam indicator works. And it does. There's your high beam indicator right there. We'll turn that off. Everything looks good. Now, here in just a moment, we will go and calibrate this thing. Some vehicles may not need to be calibrated and some may. I'm going to drive this one, and if the speedometer needs to be calibrated, I'm going to calibrate it, and I'll take you through the steps of doing that. Alright folks, here's how you're going to calibrate this. On your circuit board, your new system that you installed, you're going to have a wire that's going to come out like this. It's going to have a little push button on it. You want to leave that probably underneath your dash somewhere. But what you're going to do is you're going to push that button in and hold it in until this starts changing right here. When it gets to the CAL, which stands for calibration, you're going to tap that button again. Okay, then you're going to drive for exactly 1 mile. It does not matter how fast you go, but drive for 1 mile exactly and stop at the end of that 1 mile and press that button again. That is how you recalibrate your speedometer. Alright folks, that concludes the install video of the Intellitronix digital gauges. I'd like to personally thank Intellitronix for getting with me and working with me on doing a review of their product. This is the install part of their product. Again, I did not go over how to put the water temperature sensor in and stuff like that. That's basic common sense on doing that. The wiring is pretty straightforward. I hope this video has helped you. We're going to do a review. I'm going to run this on this truck for quite some time. See how it all responds and everything. Hopefully it does great. But this will be, the next video covering the gauges will be a review after some time usage. Now, depending on how these turn out, whether they work great or work bad, will be how the review goes. I'm hoping and praying that they work great. So with that being said, again, thank you to Intellitronix for getting with me and working with me. I hope this video has helped you. Until next time, God bless you and goodbye.